Well, we're leaving Il Postillon. It's like Italy's crying. A little drizzle. We're on our way over to Pescara, where Brent's family's from, the Giovanettis. Here comes my chauffeur now. Our luggage, we're ready to go. Oh, he's so cute. Those Italian men, so muscular and hot. Give me your Italian voice.
Mandy, we go to another hotel.
Sure, I'll go with you anywhere, boy. See? Ciao, ciao. Let's go.
Cool trees. Cool food. Want to see the sea?
Where you're from?
Where I'm from. My ancestral heritage.
See your great grandparents.
It'd be cool to meet a Giovanetti.
Just start walking around saying Giovanetti.
Giovanetti.
Giovanetti?
Giovanetti.
Giovanetti.
Giovanetti. Okay, so we headed out on a Monday morning, headed to Loreto Aprutino, which is the town where my great-grandparents were from.
We just stopped at a little auto grill.
My state.
Where are we?
My state.
Where the Giovanettis are from. I got a little sandwich. Brent got a little...
Espresso.
And how was it?
Strong.
Like you. Like you.
Like me. Like they used to be. So our trip started just outside of Rome. It was about a 3 or 4 hour trip completely across Italy. That's all it takes to get all the way across Italy. We had to drive through these beautiful snow-capped mountains, and we realized that we needed to look ahead because Italy shuts down from about 1 or 2 until 4 or 5. Complete shutdown like a siesta. So Mandy called ahead to find a restaurant, and she found one restaurant open until 2. So she booked that restaurant inside Loreto Aprutino, which is the town we were headed to. This is going into the town. That's a big church on the right. And as we were going into town, we were going straight to this restaurant that we knew would still be open, one of the few restaurants still open. Little did we know that that was going to be one of the major parts of us being able to find our family. The reason it was so key is because of the owner named Domenico was very willing to help us try and find our family. You'll notice in the background, this is looking out from the restaurant. This is the restaurant. And if you see the main castle there in the middle, and unbelievably what we didn't know at this time was that great-grandpop's house was just to the right of that castle. We found that out later. This is Domenico, the restaurant owner, and he immediately, when he found out what we were doing, grabbed a phone book and started looking for Giovanetti's in the phone book.
Giovanetti.
Wow. Mi familia.
Tutti Giovanetti. Giovanetti Costruzioni, Giovanetti Alfonso Antonietta Antonio.
Antoinetta?
Antonietta. Giovanetti Costruzioni. Tommaso, adesso vediamo.
Oh, Tommaso?
Adesso vediamo. Giulio, Giovanni, Gaetano, Ivan, Luigi, Manfredo, Maria, Mauro, Osvaldo, Giovanetti, poi Fernanda, Giovanetti, Piero, Avvocato Studio Giovanetti, Remo, Rodolfo, Giovanetti, Giuseppina, Guerino, no, Tommaso no, Giovanetti.
No Tommaso?
No.
After he got done looking through the phone book, he made us a wonderful meal with spaghetti that tasted exactly like Granny and Grandpop's spaghetti. And he said this is a very Abruzzo, which is the state we were in, Abruzzo-style spaghetti. It's exactly the same as what Granny and Grandpa made. I mean, the flavor, the noodles, everything is the exact same. It's the only time I've had spaghetti that tastes the exact same.
And they make them on those little things?
Yeah, he did something. I think he used to cut his. This restaurant actually had award-winning pasta and was known for their food. Before we left, Domenico gave us a map and told us exactly where to go and what to do to go to the records office and find out more about great Grandpa Tommaso. Let's go to that hotel next, or bank next. Should probably go to the bank next.
So we just ate at this restaurant. They've won awards for pasta. He told us olive oil is the best in Italy.
That's you. So we headed to the castle to get checked in for the night because it was a hotel. And surprisingly, we found out the next day that when I looked over this wall, I was actually looking at great Grandpa Tommaso's house. To the left is the Familia Valentini winery, which is the best known and top winery in Italy, and also very well known in America.
This is actually our hotel for the night. It's like the castle on top of the hill. So cool. He was just sliding up that hill.
This castle the building was started in the late 800s to protect the people. This was our room inside the castle. It was actually a suite, and it was only about $130. The view was absolutely amazing. The room was gigantic, and it even had 2 toilets.
Honey, it was a bidet.
Oh yeah, one was a bidet, a bottom washer. So then we started just walking around. Once we got checked in, we started walking around town, checking everything out. This is a very old church we went through. We got to look all around. It was rainy and cold, so it wasn't really pleasant, but still we forged on. And then we bumped into an older gentleman working in an old building that was about 1,000 years old.
Yes, I forgot now this magazine and this kitchen for friend.
Ah.
Oh, wow. That's very nice. Huh? I look like?
Yes.
Really?
Even get this burger.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And he lives here?
Yes. No, pescata.
In
And
Pescara?
I go fish pescata.
Well, my uncle,
Yeah.
Jules Giovanetti,
Yeah.
the brother of Minono, is in Florida. And he told me that La Familia now is in Pescara.
Pescata.
Uh-huh.
Fantastic.
So.
And this is a young boy, maybe 35 years.
Oh, wow.
35 years.
Uh-huh.
Doctor, good boy.
Uh-huh. Wow.
In Loreto Giovanetti.
Uh-huh.
Too much.
Many.
Yes, too much.
Yeah. Wow. Grazie mille.
Prego.
Grazie.
No.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao.
Happy? I have an idea.
I'm looking forward to it as much as I'm enjoying it.
Pass all your expectations.
I kept thinking as we toured the city, just walking around, that surely probably some of this, my great-grandfather must have played on these streets and met his little buddies when he was young. And that was always pretty neat to think about. If you look over here, you can see all the olive orchards. It's just everywhere you look, there were olive orchards everywhere with olive trees, since this place was just known for the olives. It was like a world mecca of olive oil. Meanwhile, back at the castle, we looked around inside. This is the restaurant. This is a gigantic olive press that would have been used long, long ago. It was amazing. The decoration and decor was just second to none. My company was second to none also.
We took off back down the rainy streets. It was a gorgeous evening, even with the rain. We're walking on the wet streets.
Carefully.
And once again, no one is here. This whole city to ourselves. We love you. We ate at a little restaurant on the other end of town. Always eating the prosciutto. As you can see here, we ate at the Blue Dot, and the hotel was up at the top of the other side. It was just a short walk to get across that whole old part of the city. After sleeping a night in the castle, we were ready for day 2.
So after a restful night's sleep in the castle, we packed our bags, left our beautiful view, and headed to the records office to find out more. These books were handwritten from the 1800s, and they let me flip through them to find records I wanted. The lady actually found Tommaso. She looked in 1878, didn't find anything. And then she said, let me look in 1877, and she found his name. Beside his name, there was a number. The number coincided with another book, and she went to another book and found Tommaso, and they made copies for us with all of Tommaso's information. So they told us to go see Mauro Socio when we left the records office. He was a historian. As we left the records office, we bumped back into Domenico.
As we were walking
and he
through
said,
town,
oh,
who did
you
we
saw
run
the
into
records
but
office. We talked to
Domenico.
him. He said, well, let's go
And we
talk
had
to the
already found
town
the
historian,
papers,
Mauro
so he was
Socio.
off on his
So he had the
mission
same
to help us
idea as
find
what we were told to do at the
correct
records office. He took us to Mauro Socio's
First of all, we
house.
went to a guy's house. that
Moro
wrote a
wasn't
book
there, so
about the
we
town.
found Moro walking his
He
dog
wasn't
back in
so-
town, and we talked to him. Moro explained to us when we got the records, it said 101 view of the Sun Street. And Moro told us there is no more 101, now it's 10 view of the Sun Street. So thanks to talking to Domenico and Moro, we were able to pinpoint the right house because the numbers have changed, but they told us how to find the correct house. So Domenico went on a mission to find as many Giovanettis as possible. He took us to a convenience store across the road, and this is Mara Giovanetti. And she was busy at this point, but she said if you come back in an hour, she would call her dad. And then the gentleman you saw to the right briefly, that's her cousin. He called his dad, and then he looked at my thumb and said, oh my goodness, you've got the Giovanetti thumb. So after this, we went, and Domenico said he would take us up to the house and show us exactly where it was, even though it was a pretty good walk, and he is obviously older. He still walked all the way up to help us find exactly which house it was. These streets, I asked him, he said the latest layer was probably 200 years old, but the originals go back over 1,000 years old. As Domenico was leading us up these streets and steps, we both realized that these were the exact streets that we had been walking around the night before. And I wondered if the night before we had passed Great-Grandpa's house, and sure enough, we found out the night before in our just wanderings, we had walked right by it and had no idea.
Take a good picture of that.
Questo Via Sole, antico. Sì. Numero
1-0.
10.
sole, via luna.
Right? Sun, moon.
Via sole, via luna. Otto, 10. Qua. Adesso non più via sole. Adesso un nuovo nome, Marconi.
Uh-huh.
No, però il numero 10 è qui.
Uh-huh.
It's probably this one.
Wow. Questi vedi? Via sole, lì via luna. Partono lì i suoi antenati.
Wow. That's probably it.
Il castello?
Castello.
That's where we
Wow.
slept.
Family Valentini.
Valentini.
Best wine Italy.
Ah.
Valentini. Oh, in America.
Wow.
Valentini.
It's right there. Wow. So then we headed to a tour of an olive oil factory.
It wasn't really open, but Domenico knew this guy. He knew everybody in the city, of course.
Speciale del mondo per i Valentini.
No, vai in Sardegna allora mi fanno. Fai vedere lo proprio.
E dopo mi dà una bottiglia olio per mamma? Una? Sì.
Adesso andiamo.
Prego.
Grazie.
Che giorni.
Ah, ma le levate tutte cose. Questo era il frantoio
Wow.
vecchio, adesso l'immagine le levate tutte cose.
C'è sta cassa per i contadini, no? E mettono le olive e poi lo portano qua.
Ma non c'è stato macine, non c'è stato niente.
Le macine.
Ci puoi far vedere?
Dove sta
Trattore. Il trattore.
Trattore, qui deposito, poi macchina,
Olive.
olive, sì, e vediamo. Qui magazzino. Ecco qua, vedi?
Allora, là si mette le olive, no?
Olive, qui,
E comincia a salire. Io la
macchina,
metto
qui, poi
qua,
va qui
la
dentro.
foglia, la foglia,
Dentro, foglia via,
Oh.
olio qui,
sì.
poi va,
La foglia, la
foglia,
foglia.
ah, sì.
La foglia va di là. E poi
Oh,
Macchina,
la foglia.
via,
la foglia
va
via.
via, non buono. Oliva,
L'olivo viene qua
It smells
e
amazing.
viene macinato.
Wow.
L'ulivo viene qua dentro, viene,
Oliva.
sì, viene tritato.
Oh, ah.
poi va qui in macchina, viene a macchina,
Oh.
Delle griglie che come è la macchina delle salsicce. Insomma.
vabbè, non mi può capire.
Dopo qua viene la pasta delle olive macinate e viene girato piano piano perché il nocciolo capisci dove
Il nocciolo, il legno, dentro,
tritato rompe le vescichette dell'olio.
water, prima cosa water, via.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Sì, sì, sì. Occhi. Occhi, naso, viso,
Giovanetti.
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 Hai fiato alla mamma, ne mi esce a
No, Giovanetti è un po' più basso.
Loreto Giovanetti Nogano.
When we left the olive oil plant, I wanted to thank Domenico, and I wanted to make sure we never forgot him. So I got him to say his name.
Domenico. Domenico Speranza.
Thank you for everything. Grazie.
Next, we headed back to the convenience store to meet up with Mara and Maurizio and find out more about their story. When we got there, they had invited their fathers to come and talk to us and find out more. The gentleman on the right was very doubtful that I was any kind of relation. And he kept saying, no, can't be, no, can't be. This gentleman was much more receptive and kept thinking, yes, it must be the same one. And every time I'd say, Tommaso Giovanetti, that was his grandfather's name also. And when I told him that our records showed that Tommaso Giovanetti was on View of the Sun Street, they both started talking, these two brothers, and confirming that that's where their grandfather was from and lived. But still, the one on the right didn't believe me until finally his son showed my thumb to him, and he kept comparing my thumb to his thumb and saying that we have the Giovanetti thumb. And once he saw my thumb, then he kissed me on both cheeks and welcomed me into the family. Here he is comparing thumbs. You notice this guy comes up to my shoulder and has the same size hands as I do.
So the dynamic of this family was Mara was the young lady that owns the convenience store. Her dad is beside her. And then his brother is the little short guy, and his son was the tall gentleman on the right.
When we were at the records office, they made copies of these, which would have basically been great-grandfather Tommaso's birth certificate. They made copies of the handwritten books and gave it to us. And it is absolutely a treasure because you can see where he was from, where he lived, where he was born, and all the information from well over 100 years ago. All in all, our trip to Loreto Aprutino was very successful, and we were very blessed to have been able to find out so much information and even meet people that we were related to.